All right, guys, so we're going to be reviewing science today. I wasn't able to record yesterday's lesson, so we're going to try and record it today. Math, we did not record, so there's no math lesson for today that's recorded. Science, we are going to be doing Unit 4, Lesson 2, Module 2, Lesson 3 review. So I am going to go to McGraw-Hill Education. I'm going to click at the top. I'm going to change it from my old school to OISP, which is the Online Independent Study Program that we are in. Click on Inspire Science. Click on the greater than symbol. Click on the greater than symbol. Click on water habitats. And then let's do a little review of what we did yesterday. Again, you guys are on pages 98 to 101, and then 104 to 105, and then 110 to 111. So we're starting on page 98. You guys can use your books while taking your test. We are on page 98. Water habitats, oceans. A coral reef is one habitat in the ocean. An ocean is a large body of salt water. Ocean water covers most of Earth. Different animals live in different parts of the ocean. Tap on the orange icons in the activity on the next page to see where some ocean animals live. How do you think different ocean animals survive in their habitat? Ocean plants such as seagrass provide food and shelter for some animals. Tap on the orange icons below to learn where some ocean animals live. So we learned that crabs and sea stars live closer to the shore. Whales, dolphins, and sharks swim in the deep water away from the shore. And anglerfish and squid live in the deepest part of the ocean. Different animals live in different parts of the ocean. Most ocean animals have body parts that help them swim and stay safe. A squid moves by sucking in water and forcing it out. Sea turtles and clams are protected by shells. Here we see a sea turtle using their flippers to move through the water. Here on the next slide, we have how do animals use plants in the ocean? They use plants for food and shelter, like the seagrass. And how is an ocean habitat similar to a land habitat? Plants are used as food and shelter. Now we're going to be learning about ponds. A pond is a small body of fresh water. Fresh water has little or no salt in it. Most animals that live in fresh water cannot live in salt water. Frogs, fish, and turtles eat insects that live in ponds. Snakes live in the grass near ponds. They eat fish and frogs. Pond plants with roots grow near the shore. The stems, leaves, and flowers grow out of the water to get sunlight. What kind of animals and plants live in a pond habitat? Here we have water snakes, cranes, whirligig beetles, fish, muskrats, and frogs. Now we're going to watch this video about the diversity in water to compare living things in different water habitats.
Water makes a great home for millions of plants, animals, and other living things on Earth. Water habitats might be filled with salt water or fresh water. They might be flowing rivers or ponds full of plants. Whatever they are, these water habitats meet the needs of the plants and animals that live in there. Let's take a look at the ocean. Oceans cover most of Earth. The ocean is a saltwater habitat. There are more than 1 million kinds of plants and animals that live in the ocean. Scientists believe that there are millions more that have not been discovered yet. The ocean is home to many types of plants and seaweeds. Kelp is a type of seaweed. Big areas of kelp are like underwater forests. Kelp provides food and shelter to fish, shellfish, and even mammals like seals and sea otters. Did you know that kelp can grow up to 60 centimeters or 2 feet in one day? A plant called seagrass grows in shallow parts of the ocean where it can get the sunlight it needs to grow. Most plants would die in salt water, but seagrass grows well in this habitat. Like kelp, seagrass provides food and shelter to many animals. There is a huge variety of animals that live in ocean habitats. The largest mammal on Earth lives in the ocean, the blue whale. Some blue whales are longer than 2 school buses. These giant animals eat tiny shellfish called krill. One blue whale eats millions of krill each year. There are nearly 20,000 different species of fish in the ocean. There are fish of all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Anglerfish live deep in the ocean a mile below the surface. Anglerfish have sharp, clear teeth. Female anglerfish have part of their spine extended over their head. The tip glows to attract prey such as shrimp and small fish. The ocean is also home to animals such as jellyfish, octopuses, sea turtles, and even sea snakes like this banded sea crate. Sea snakes breathe air, but some can hold their breath for 2 hours. Coral reefs are like underwater cities. They are home to thousands of living things. The coral itself is a living thing. It's a collection of tiny animals called coral polyps. Each polyp is about as big as the head of a pin. Other animals can find food in the reef. They can find places to hide so they don't become food. Look at all of the colorful fish and coral. Now, let's take a look at freshwater habitats. Rivers are bodies of fresh water that flow. Rivers are home to a large variety of plants and animals. Let's take a look at some. Plants that live in rivers like green river grass and spike rush are an important part of river habitats. They provide food and shelter to the animals that live there. Many trees grow along the sides of rivers. Their roots grow down into the river and provide shelter for many animals. Tree roots also help keep the soil on the edges of the river in place. Even though Earth's oceans cover much more area than bodies of fresh water, freshwater habitats like rivers and ponds have more kinds of fish. Fish like catfish, trout, and minnows live in rivers. Did you know that most salmon are born in rivers and then travel to the ocean to live? They are one of the few species that can live in saltwater and freshwater. Salmon swim against the flow of the river to return to where they were born to lay eggs. Dolphins may look like fish, but they are mammals that live in the water. Most dolphins live in the ocean. Did you know that some dolphins live in rivers? Pink river dolphins are actually pink or gray and pink. Animals like crocodiles, turtles, and snakes also live in and around rivers. Crocodiles live near rivers and other bodies of water. Water keeps their bodies cool and helps them hide from larger animals like leopards that could eat them. They can swim under the surface with just their eyes and nose showing. Water also provides crocodiles' main source of food, fish. River turtles usually eat grasses and leaves. There are some kinds of river turtles that eat fish and other small animals. Water snakes also live in rivers. They mostly eat small fish, frogs, and salamanders. Water snakes hide in the rocks and plants that surround rivers. Rivers are also home to mammals like river otters and beavers. Did you know that beavers eat trees? They like to eat the green inner layer of wood and will use whatever is left to build their dams. Beavers build dams, canals, and make homes for themselves in rivers. The river habitat provides all of the things that these animals need to live and grow. Ponds are another type of freshwater habitat. A pond is a small body of fresh water that does not flow. Pond plants are important to pond habitats. Plants like water lilies and cattails live in and around ponds. These plants need a lot of water. They depend on the pond to get the water they need. Water lilies are helpful to pond habitats. They actually help clean the water. Water lilies also give small animals like frogs a place to hide from predators. You can find a large variety of animals living in ponds. There are many types of fish like bluegill, carp, and bass in ponds. These fish feed on bugs, algae, and plants. Crayfish like to hide under rocks or logs. They eat snails, worms, tadpoles, and plants. Salamanders also live near ponds. They look like a mix between a frog and a lizard. The young look similar to fish and live in the water like fish. Grown salamanders live on land, but go back to the water to lay eggs. Did you know that some species of salamanders can lose their tail during an attack and then grow a new one? Frogs also lay their eggs in bodies of fresh water like ponds. The eggs develop in water. Then the young frogs, called tadpoles, live in water until they lose their tails and grow legs. Then the frogs live mostly on the land that surrounds the pond. Toads lay their eggs in ponds too. Many birds like ducks and herons live in and near ponds. They eat fish, other small animals, and plants. Look at this duck with her ducklings. Pond habitats are able to meet the needs of the plants and animals that live there. There is plenty of sunlight, food, water, and shelter. Earth's water habitats are filled with plants and animals. Can you think of any other type of water habitat? What kinds of plants and animals do you think live there?
All right. What we're going to do next is we're going to continue on. Pond animals breathe in different ways. Frogs breathe through their lungs or skin, and fish breathe through gills or with their gills. And we talked about that yesterday. How are pond and ocean habitats different? How are they alike? Fill out the graphic organizer. So for some reason, my work was not saving yesterday either. I think something was wrong with the computer. So yesterday, does anyone want to unmute and tell me what you guys remember writing here? What did we write in like for the two different circles? So this is a Venn diagram. We're going to be talking about the differences and the similarities between what?
Ponds and oceans.
Very good. So we talked about a pond habitat and an ocean habitat. Okay, so we did ponds here and then we did oceans here. So we worked on this yesterday. Okay, now what are some differences about the ponds that are not like the ocean?
Ponds, they are smaller.
Okay, they're smaller. What else? What else did we write yesterday?
The water is fresher.
The water is fresh water. And then what is like an animal or a plant that lives in a pond that does not live in the ocean?
A frog.
Okay, what are some things that we said about the ocean?
It has salt water.
Ocean has salt water.
That has salt water, it's bigger, and then what's an ocean animal that only lives in the ocean and not in a pond?
A dolphin.
A dolphin. And there are some dolphins that live in a pond, but that's very rare. And then what are some things that are alike?
They both have water.
They both have
They
water.
both have water.
So what's a type of fish that can swim in both a pond and an ocean?
Salmon.
Salmon.
Very good. Good job, guys. All right. So that was what we worked on yesterday. Okay. Pond habitat. Tap on the plants and animals to learn how they live together in a pond habitat. So here we have muskrats. They build shelters with cattails. They also use cattails for food. They hold a plant with their front feet and eat the stems. We have many types of fish that live in ponds, including bluegill, bass, and catfish. Fish find shelter in cattails and other pond plants. They eat insects, worms, and smaller fish. We have water snakes. They swim in ponds and bask in the sun on rocks or the surrounding land. They eat fish and amphibians such as frogs, toads, and salamanders. We have cranes. They stand along the edge of a pond to find food. When a fish swims by, a crane catches it with its pointy beak. Cranes also eat plants, insects, and other animals.
Are we just watching?
Yes, we're going to be taking a test in about 10 minutes. Frogs eat insects and other small animals like snails and worms. They sit on lily pads to stay safe from fish and water snakes that are trying to eat them. So you see how these plants, sometimes the animals eat the plants and sometimes they use them for protection. And then we have the cattails. They grow along the edge of a pond. Blackbirds, ducks, and other animals use them for nesting, so as a shelter, and fish hide from predators in their underwater stalks, which is like their stems. Draw one way a pond animal uses a plant to survive, and then we skipped that yesterday. For a closed reading, we looked at river habitats. River habitats. A river is a body of fresh water that flows. Most rivers begin high in the mountains as streams. Streams of melting snow flow down a mountain. They flow into rivers. Trees and other plants grow alongside a river. Their branches and roots grow down into the water. Many animals live in a river habitat. Most salmon are born in rivers. They travel to the ocean to live as adults. And then when they are ready to have babies, what they'll do is they'll swim back up these rivers so that they can have their fish in the river. I'm sorry, their babies in the river. The salmon is swimming against the flow of river. Salmon return to fresh water to lay their eggs. Snails attach themselves to rocks or grass. They feed on moss that grow there. And river otters live near rivers and streams, and they hunt for fish and turtles. And then yesterday we did our evaluate, and then I think again it didn't save. So question number 1 was summarize it. What living things could be found in a tide pool and a river? Oh, it did. Yay. Explain how different plants and animals live together in the water habitats. Animals use plants for food and for shelter or for protection. Which steps does not belong in an investigation to find out how many different types of animals live in a tide pool? Well, you would need to observe the animals in the tide pool. You need to record how many different ones you see, and then you need to compare your results with your classmates because they might have seen an animal in the tide pool that you didn't. You do not need to measure how deep the tide pool is to find out how many different types of animals are there. And then number 2, which pattern is true about animals in the ocean? All ocean animals can survive in salt water because the ocean is made out of what?
Water.
The ocean is made out of what kind of water?
Salt water.
Salt water.
Water. Very good. All right. We are going to take our quiz together, and then you are going to take it on your own, okay? Evelyn looks at the picture of 2 habitats. Then she makes a model. Her model shows the types of animals that she saw in the pictures as shown. So here's habitat 1. There's V's, W's. That's it. And habitat 2 has V's, W's, and Z's. Evelyn uses a different letter for each type of animal that she saw. Which observation uses information from Evelyn's model? So let's pretend that these are, the V's are rabbits. And let's say that the W's are snakes. So we have rabbits and snakes. And then in habitat 2, we have rabbits, snakes, and let's say the Z's are foxes. So in habitat 1, she's got rabbits and snakes. In habitat 2, she has rabbits, snakes, and foxes. Okay, let's see which one is true. A, all of the animals shown in Evelyn's model live and grow well in both habitats. Do all of the animals shown, so rabbits, foxes, and snakes, do they all live in both habitats?
No.
No, so that is not going to be A. What about B? More different types of animals live and grow in habitat 2 than in habitat 1. So are there more animals in habitat 2, more different types of animals in habitat 2 than in habitat 1? True or false?
Yes.
Yes.
True.
What is the extra animal that lives in habitat 2 that doesn't live in habitat 1?
Fox.
The foxes. Very good. Okay. And then, but let's just make sure. Number 3, animal W is more likely to be found in a habitat where many other different types of animals also live. And that is a question that we cannot answer just by looking at our chart. I believe B is the best answer. We're going to move on. Question 2. Match each animal with the different parts of the ocean where it may live. Okay, which animal lives close to the shore?
Crabs.
Crabs, very good. Which animal lives in the deep water in the ocean?
Whale. Squid.
Whale, very good. And then which one lives in the deepest part of the ocean?
Squid.
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 Which animal would live in this habitat? So we see cattails and lily pads, monkeys, parrots, and lions.
No, not monkeys,
No.
parrots, and lions.
Turtles, dragonflies, and fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this could live in there.
What about goats, giraffes, and tigers?
No.
No.
How can they? One thing. How can they swim?
Yeah, so it would be the turtles, the dragonflies, and the fish.
Yeah.
Okay, a beaver lives in a river or stream. What kind of water does a beaver need? Is it salt water or fresh water?
Fresh water.
Fresh water.
Water.
And I don't know if it's one word or 2 words, but let's.
You could draw anything you want.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
last question, number 5. What kind of habitat is a pond? A freshwater habitat, a cold and dry habitat, or a habitat that is part of the ocean?
Freshwater.
Freshwater habitat.
Freshwater habitat.
Freshwater habitat.
We're going to submit our assignment. Once you're done, you're going to click view score details. And guess what? You guys got them all correct. So for number 4, you have to spell fresh correctly. You could put fresh water, but you have to put a space then because it's 2 words, or you could just write fresh. If you spell fresh wrong, are you going to get it right?
No.
No.
No. No.
Spell it wrong, you will get it wrong. So you need to spell it correctly. Can you guys all put fresh in the chat so I know that you know how to spell it correctly? Can everyone type the word fresh in the chat so I know that you could spell it correctly? Very good. Awesome. You do not need to capitalize it. All right. I am going to now assign this test. This is your Unit 4, Module 2, Lesson 2 check. I'm going to allow late submissions. I'll give you guys till next week to complete it, but I want you guys to do it now, and you may view after completing assessment. All right. I just assigned your quiz for you guys. You guys can take it. After you're done, you're going to put your score in the chat.
Where do we find it at?
I'll tell you that in a second. Once you're done, you're going to put your score in the chat. If you have no missing work, you're free to go. Alexander, Kendall, Daniel, Dimitri, Joels. I need you guys to stay because you guys have missing work. to find your test, you are going to go to Google Classroom. Go to it now so I can tell you where to go. Click on the waffle, click on Gmail. Click on the waffle, click on the waffle again. Scroll all the way down to McGraw-Hill. Alexander, I should see you be doing this too. Once you click on McGraw-Hill, you're going to go to the top of your screen where your old elementary school is. McGraw-Hill. You're going to go to your old elementary school, and then you're going to change it to OISP. And then we're taking a science test, so you need to click on Inspire Science. But first you got to go to OISP, or else it's going to take you to first grade science, which is not what we want. We want to go to second grade science. So go up to Ferguson, Matthew. Change it to OISP. Click on Inspire.
Done 80%.
Good job. And then click Let's Go. All right.
I got one wrong with the whales and squid. This
No.
the deepest part of the ocean is squid.
No worries. Okay, click on the waffle, Alex. Let's do your science test.
Miss Park, I finished my test. I got 100%.
All right. If you guys have finished your test and you have no missing work, you are free to go.